Well, I've decided to race here in 2020 and I was very well prepared, and yeah, the rest is history. COVID hit the world and plans got postponed, not cancelled, so it's great to have a fighting chance here in South Africa, and I mean I could not have picked a better spot. Yeah, to end my season hopefully on a high. So first of all, for those who didn't know, you can watch a YouTube video, but I'm gonna retire at the end of 2023. So next year the focus will be on trying to be in the best shape possible to have a chance to probably go for another world title, either in St. George or in Kona later in 2020. And then 2023 will be around the world tour, you know, doing all the races that I haven't been able to do in my career so far. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows there is a window of opportunity in professional sport, and I have the feeling my window is about to close. And you know, I want to be the one that decides when I close the window, and not to be forced to retire at one point because I don't have it anymore. So yeah, therefore I decided to set myself a finish line and not just like say, ooh, by the way, that's it, that's over. I want to everybody to know, like, okay, 2023, that's gonna be the year I'm gonna be out of the sport and I'm not gonna have a comeback or something like that. And that also makes me more motivated, because now I have a finish line, and this always helps to have a finish line. Ask yourself why I am doing this, and at the end, the ultimate goal for all of us, we want to be happy, right? We want to live a happy life, and it's not just a marathon, it's an Ironman, and the Ironman can be pretty long, and that's what your life is also, just like an Ironman, you know, it's pretty long and the marathon comes at the end of it. So sometimes it can be tough, but the tougher it is during the race, the more rewarding it is afterwards when you cross the finish line. And then it doesn't matter sometimes if you're first or if you're fifth or if you just finish the race. No other distance gives me that feeling, and therefore the sport itself is a very good practice for your life.
I was hit by a taxi not even a year ago, out running, and was in ICU for 5 days, in hospital for more than a week. I'm very thankful that I didn't lose my eyesight, I didn't get brain damaged, I wasn't you know, paraplegic, and I actually came back and have been able to race. And then going to the World Championship long distance to represent South Africa and actually be competitive was very rewarding and made me think that something special could happen for Ironman South Africa. And then 5.5 weeks ago, I go out running and I break my arm. So I think it's good to have some perspective and say, like, I'm almost just happy to be at the start line and be able to do this race. I'm definitely wanting to race. I don't want to come and participate and tick the box. I want to be in a position where I could possibly win or be on the podium, absolutely. You know, my dream is to win an Ironman. If it could be on home soil, that would be cherry on top. If you don't move on and do what you're supposed to, thank you, injury, for, you know, giving me perspective that I have a life, that I get to do what I really love to do, that I get to challenge myself and do something that's some people think is impossible, and sometimes I think is impossible. I mean, if I sit here today and I think I've got to do a 3.8 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike, and then a marathon, 42 kilometer run in one go, I'm like, the enormity of that is overwhelming. You know, coming back from injury wasn't even I didn't even think that there was an impossibility that I wouldn't. Nothing is perfect. There is always going to be something that you need to be flexible with, and you just need to remain positive and keep putting one step. And believe it or not, each step forward, you're like, oh, actually, I'm moving forward, I'm getting this done. And before you know it, you're on the finish line. And I always say, like, those last 8 seconds of a race, when the adrenaline kicks in, I wish it had kicked in like 2 hours ago, but when it kicks in on that like red carpet, I mean, it makes it all worth those sacrifices. And I talk about sacrifice, but in my view, I like to call it investment. An investment into my dreams. This really is a dream for me to be able to do this.
Hello, I'm Kaye. I'm one of Ironman worldwide announcers. And when I come to Nelson Mandela Bay, when I drive in or when I fly in, and typically during the prevailing winds, we fly in over the bay, and I like to have a window seat. I sit left side of the plane and I can see Shark Rock Pier, and I can see Hobie Beach, and I can see the red carpet of the finish line. And that's when the goosebumps start, because that means it's time to host the world, more than 100 nations, right here in this beautiful, beautiful part of the world. And this is it. This is what, as announcers, this is what we live for. We get to be part of people changing their lives. We get to be part of people making their impossible possible. And I always like to call the finish line and the carpet the magic carpet, because I've seen it transform tears into smiles, pain into pleasure. And I see the body language of the athletes when they arrive, and it's extremely special because everybody has their why. You see that the eyes change when suddenly they realize that at many times during the race they thought they would never do it, they would never make it, and then all of a sudden they get here. And often the crowds are going crazy and we get to say those very special words, "You are an Ironman," and this is where it all happens. The magic red carpet of Ironman races all around the world. I tell you what makes this event, particularly this event happening this weekend, so incredibly special, is that it's happening. I mean, it's been 2.5 years now. 2.5 years. These South African athletes are chomping at the bit to race. They haven't been able to travel. And what also makes it very special for me, considering how challenging it is to travel, is that we have more than 300 internationals who've come all the way down here to the tip of Africa to race.